Hello everyone, welcome to this slightly late episode of Music of the Week. I don't really have a lot of preamble to go through. This one I'll save all my self-promotion for the end of the video. For now we have about 5 albums to go through, so let's go through the 5 albums. We begin with Killer Mike and his newest album, Michael. I believe this is his first solo release in 12 years. I mostly know him for his work alongside LP as part of Run the Jewels. And giving this one the highest grade I can possibly give, as well as the highest grade of the episode, it's an A+. I absolutely love pretty much everything about this thing. I might have a couple of tiny issues with the structuring, very minuscule if pressed. I do think it is a little bit long at times, but there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's absolutely fantastically put together, and it is inspired as well. The album is inspired by the recent passings of his mother and grandmother, and he details the pain of going through that loss very well, and a lot of his growing up where he did, and a lot of his political activism as well. He works that in quite well too, and there's a lot of really great guest spots from the likes of Ty Dolla $ign, and LP even pops up on a song as well. I think he produces it though, I don't know if he raps, and Black as well. A lot of really good guest spots. In fact, Tim and Aoife even meet to this. But Killer Mike, as the central performer, is what really holds the album together. His lyricism is fantastic as well. Again, going through the pain of the loss and a lot of the current political problems going on right now. You have to remember that Run the Jewels' last album came out in 2020, in the middle of the year, so, we were still very much caught in the throes of the pandemic, excuse my hair. So, yeah, that's really well handled too. Production's great as well. I love whoever did it, because, there was a fair few people, but it was very nicely put together too. Mike's performance is absolutely spellbinding. A lot of the beats are really good too. It works in a lot of nice elements of jazz and gospel and soul, and it really gives you that proper southern style hip hop vibe to it, which is the entire point, because that is the officially listed genre of it on Wikipedia. Is called southern hip hop. But yeah, Killer Mike absolutely puts in a fantastic performance. I really love this album. So yeah, I definitely recommend you go check this one out. It's got really good shit to it, and it might make you shed a tear or two, because it is a very sad album at the end of the day, but in a very sort of comforting and therapeutic way. We next go to Belgium for Mind War and their debut album Still at War, although with an album that title you wouldn't think that it would be a full-length debut. I know that they released a few EPs before this. These are a more hardcore punky sort of group. I'm giving this one a B+. I really liked a lot of the stuff I heard from this one. It is a scant half hour. I think that's one of the main things that's going against it, but it's got some really strong lyrics about themes of war and religion and death and depression, and yeah, just really heartfelt performances, really fucking heavy ass punk, to the point of some really good crossover thrash metal being used, but not overly done, and I like that it sticks more to the punk side of things, although it does incorporate the thrash elements quite nicely, but again, more on the punk side. The vocalist, who is brothers with the guitarist, he does a really great job as well. I can't remember the name because Belgian names are very difficult to keep in mind. But again, I'll flash it on the screen because I'm good. I'm good at that thing. Yeah, no, really good stuff. Just really solid, strong hardcore punk. Really good on the heaviness of the riffs. Really solid lyrics as well. I like the performances. Production's quite nice and organic as well. I like how it was handled. And again, structuring, it's not a very long album. In fact, it's the second shortest of this episode, but it squeezes in quite a lot. So again, it's another really solid recommend that I say you should go check out. Next we have Origami Angel and their newest album, The Brightest Days. Now I know this technically is classified as a mixtape, technically speaking, but it's really just an album. That's all essentially that mixtapes are. It's a very short one as well. There's only 8 songs and it's 22 minutes long. But I'm still counting it as a fucking album, you can't stop me. And I'm also giving it an A. I remember I heard their previous album, Gami Gang, back in 2021 and quite liking it. I like this one a little bit more. It's got a very good central theme of trying to look forward ahead to the brightest days. And it was written in the midst of a really crappy 2020 summer. Then again, summer 2020 wasn't exactly a bright period of time for anyone on the planet at that moment. But yeah, this was just really well put together, easy core style pop punk. I loved the uniqueness of the riff. There's almost a mathcore element. It reminds me a bit of Dogleg or Hot Mulligan in a few ways, but it does have its own identity, and I like a lot of the fun vibes and how the tone isn't super conflicting, because it is a very bright and shiny sounding pop punk album, but it's also very realistic in terms of its theme handling of stuff like depression and losing relationships and so on. And again, with the pandemic still going on, well, to a thankfully much lesser degree, it is still kind of shitty to be in that situation. I think the performances are really great too. I keep forgetting that there's only two people in this band. There's a lead singer who does guitar and bass, and there's a drummer as well who just does drums. But, you know, I fucking love that they are able to make it sound like there's like 4 or even 5 people in the band. The guitar work is absolutely fantastic as well. Yeah, the production's really nice and clean and very fresh and like fun and breezy for the most part. And again, structuring for an album that's only just over 22 minutes long, it packs in a whole lot of really fun and innovative stuff for a pop punk album. So yeah, I recommend you go check this one out as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything I haven't gone over. The instruments, I've gone over lyrics, performances, production, structure. No, I've gone over pretty much everything, and you should absolutely go and listen to this one. It bangs. Next, we have Queens of the Stone Age with their newest album, In Times New Roman, and yeah, no, this is an absolutely phenomenal album as well. It's only my second album by them since 2017's Villains, which makes sense as it's their first album since that one. I'm giving this one an A. I really fucking love this one. It's got a lot of just really awesome fucking charisma to it, as the band just happen to have in abundance, especially lead singer Josh Homme, Jesus Christ. It's again like more of their sort of like alternative, like stoner rocky stuff, but you know what you're getting with Queens of the Stone Age, and that's usually fucking awesomeness. I love the guitar work on this thing. I love how you can hear pretty much everything in terms of the production as well. Like, nothing feels skimped out on, not the vocals, not the guitar, not the bass, not the drums, not the keyboard. Nothing feels like it's buried on everything else. You can hear everything clearly and concisely, and I love that. And the fact that it was self-produced, you know, that really helps a lot with that shit. The lyricism does cover dark themes like death and depression, and again, you know, the pandemic sort of thing. Which makes sense because it's their first album since 2017, so I like to imagine a lot of the songs... I'm sorry, I'm so sweaty. I like to imagine a fair few of the songs were sort of written around about 2020-ish, maybe. I mean, it would make sense, but yeah, no, the performances are fantastic as well. The instrumentation and playing overall is fucking great. The structuring is really good too. There can be maybe 1 or 2 dragging moments, but it's got some really good shit to it. It's overall just like a very, very sexy album, you know. Yeah, no, I really fucking like this one. It's got a lot of really good shit going for it. I think I've covered pretty much everything I need to cover. Just go listen to it if you're a Queens of the Stone Age fan. It'll probably be for you. It'll give me... I might take a few more spins with it myself, because I did have to go back over this one a couple of times, but I do want to go back over it more, you know. So yeah, no, really, really good stuff. Go listen. And finally, we have Rival Sons with their newest album, Dogfighter. Now, this is a band that's been making the rounds in rock music, and this is their 8th album, I think. I don't really keep track of that stuff a lot. And I'm giving this one the lowest grade of the episode, which is a C+. Now, I kept pushing back Rival Sons' album, well, I kept pushing back Dogfighter specifically, because I wasn't sure how I feel about it, because I listened to a few singles, like, near the start of June. I was like, okay, let's fill the preceding weeks out with other stuff, and then I'll say this when I don't have anything else. I didn't have anything else to really go over the past weekend, except for the 4 albums I covered before this. But yeah, this one only really gets a C+. I'm not sure what people see in Rival Sons. They're a blues rocky, sort of hard rock and roll style band, and I don't mind that. And the band themselves are really fucking good. They have a ton of charisma and a ton of really good attitude and personality. And the riffs are really good. I love the guitar work. Where it kind of falls apart is a few, well, more than a few repeated lyrical lines. It feels like they're scrambling for a fair bit to say. And I think part of that is because this is the first album of a two-parter, because they're going to be dropping another album later this year called Lightbringer. But, you know, it's not really a concept from, like, Glean, so why didn't they just release them around the same time? Like the Acacia Strain did with Step Into the Light, Failure Will Follow? I don't fucking know. But, you know, it's not the best thing. There's, like, the typical stuff about, you know, again, the pandemic, but not nearly as interesting and a bit more repeated, and some, like, pretty decent-ish religious themes, you know. The production is not really great. There's way too much fuzz on the tone of the guitars and bass, and I don't like it. It just really overtakes stuff and makes things sound really murky, and I don't think that's the goal they were going for. If it was, then I would say it's well executed, but it's not a style I particularly like, and it was produced by Dave Cobb, who I know mostly works with, like, a lot of, like, country artists and sort of, like, more throwback style, sort of southern-leaning hard rock artists, but I don't know, there's just something about his style I don't like on this album. And structurally wise as well, this one also has 8 songs on it, but it's longer, it's almost twice as long as Origami Angel's new album, which again had the same amount of songs with just 8. But it feels way too dragged down a lot of places, and it doesn't really go anywhere interesting. I think some of the guitar work is pretty decent. I like the guitar work on the last song. The only songs I really like out of the 8 on offer are Guillotine and Nobody Wants to Die. I really like Nobody Wants to Die. That's a really good song. But yeah, I don't know. This one just sort of like meanders and plods quite a lot. I don't really know how to feel about it. I've listened to it a couple of times since it dropped, and I'm just like, well, since last weekend when I decided to cover it because it dropped near like the start of the month, but I was just not fully vibing with this one. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll listen to Lightbringer, but I don't have a lot of hope for it after this one. Maybe that's just me. Hello, this is Post-Production Jake, and I just wanted to give a couple of little quick messages here at the end that I forgot to do. So first of all, go check out the Reverence pay-per-view. It's been on my YouTube channel since Monday night, I want to say. It was a pretty solid pay-per-view with one very good match between Blackout Veterans and Soul Brothers, so go check that out. And also my official ranking for the album. So we'll go with Dark Fighter by Rival Sons at the bottom. Then after that, it is Still at War by Mind War. Then Queens of the Stone Age with In Times New Roman. Then Origami Angel with The Brightest Days, although you could interchange those two to be honest. And number 1 is Kill Mike with Michael. So yeah, back to the outro. And that'll about do it for this episode of Music of the Week. Next thing I'll see you for will maybe be tomorrow night. Maybe I'll be starting the Bad Block Theatre Let's Play with Fen. Fucking hopefully. But the next thing I'll see you for that I can guarantee is the next episode, the next Fight the Night review on Sunday, if there is one to go over. So that's not really a guarantee either, to be honest. But the next thing I will see you for, that I can guarantee, is another episode of Music of the Week next Thursday. So I will see you all for whatever the hell I wind up doing next. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome, bye bye.